I never expected that day to change my life forever. The sun had barely risen, painting the sky in soft shades of orange and purple when I received the call. My husband had disappeared years ago, and since then I had tried to rebuild the fragments of my life without him, piece by piece. I had grown stronger, more cautious, more unwilling to trust easily, but nothing could have prepared me for the sight that waited at the end of the long driveway of our suburban street. A sleek, black luxury car pulled up smoothly, glinting in the early morning light. It wasn't just the car that stopped me in my tracks. It was the presence inside it. A woman stepped out, tall, poised, with confidence that made the air around her tense. She wore sunglasses, though the early sun barely touched the horizon, and her expression was unreadable, almost cold. I didn't recognize her at first, but the moment she looked at me I felt a chill. The familiarity was unmistakable. My husband's sister, the one who had always seemed distant, judgmental, and aloof, now stood in front of me like a force of nature. She didn't offer pleasantries. She didn't wait for me to greet her or ask questions. Instead, she opened the car door and said simply, "Get in." Her voice was calm, deliberate, and carried an authority I couldn't ignore. I froze, my mind racing. Years of questions, of resentment, of unanswered whispers and rumors about my husband crashed through me at once. Why was she here now? What did she want from me? And more importantly, why the urgency? I hesitated. My instinct screamed to back away, to retreat into the safety of my home, to lock the door and pretend none of this was happening. But curiosity, mingled with a strange, painful longing for answers, pushed me forward. I took a deep breath and climbed into the passenger seat, my body tense, my fingers gripping the edge of the seat. The moment I settled, the car pulled away smoothly, gliding down the quiet streets as though guided by some invisible plan. The city passed in blurred shapes of concrete and trees, but I barely noticed. My attention was fixed on her, on the silent tension in the air between us, on the sense that everything I had known about my husband, about my family, about my life, was about to be challenged in ways I couldn't yet comprehend. She finally spoke, breaking the thick silence. "You've been waiting for answers, haven't you?" Her tone wasn't accusatory. It was observant, almost piercing. I swallowed hard. I've been waiting, I admitted. I just didn't know if I'd ever get them. She nodded slightly, as if she had expected this answer. "He didn't want you to know." "Not yet. But it's time." My chest tightened. I tried to steady my breathing. "Time for what?" She glanced at me briefly, her eyes dark behind the tinted sunglasses. "Time to understand why he disappeared. Time to know the truth about your marriage, your life, and what you've been missing." My stomach churned. My mind raced. I thought back to the years of unanswered questions, of the late-night calls that went unanswered, of the silence that had filled the space where my husband's presence should have been. And now, all those unanswered questions were about to have an answer. I wanted to ask her everything at once, to demand the story, the reasons, the confessions. But I knew better. Something in her posture, in the way she held herself, warned me that there were rules here, rules I wasn't yet aware of. I forced myself to stay silent, to let the tension build, to allow the truth to reveal itself on its own terms. The car turned onto a narrow road lined with tall trees, the branches arching overhead like a tunnel, creating a sense of being transported to another world. The quiet hum of the engine was the only sound, punctuated by the occasional rustle of leaves in the morning breeze. I felt a strange combination of fear and anticipation, my heart beating faster with every passing second. I tried to read her face, but the sunglasses shielded everything. I didn't know if she was sympathetic, hostile, or simply a messenger of events I couldn't yet understand. Then finally she spoke again. "You've waited for years, believing he left you for reasons you didn't understand. You thought it was abandonment, neglect, betrayal. But it wasn't that simple. He disappeared to protect you." The words hit me with a jolt. "Protect me?" I blinked, unsure if I had heard correctly. "Protect me? From what?" I whispered. She hesitated, glancing at the rearview mirror as if checking for unseen eyes, then turned her gaze back to me. "From things you couldn't have imagined. From dangers he could not face alone. From choices he had to make that would have destroyed you if you had known." My mind reeled. What could possibly be so dangerous, so complex, that it required years of disappearance, silence, and secrecy? I wanted to interrupt, to demand clarity, to argue, to scream. But something about the way she said it, the calm certainty, made me realize that questions alone would not yield answers. Answers required listening, following instructions, patience, and courage. I swallowed, forcing the words past my dry throat. Then, you're going to tell me everything? She shook her head slowly. No. I'm going to show you. But first you need to be ready. The path ahead is not easy. It is not safe. And it is not forgiving. Her words sent a shiver down my spine. I realized that the life I had known, the assumptions I had held, the trust one had placed in him and in my family, were all about to be turned inside out. She reached into her bag and pulled out a small envelope, sliding it across the console toward me. The seal was unbroken. I felt its weight in my hands, a physical reminder of the secrets it contained. Open it when you are ready, she said. And once you do, there is no going back. My pulse quickened. I nodded, taking the envelope with care. The car slowed, then turned onto a private driveway leading to a secluded estate I had never seen before. The gates opened silently, the property sprawling and mysterious in the dim morning light. The house itself was imposing, elegant, but cold in appearance, as if it were waiting for something, or someone. She parked and turned off the engine, her eyes finally meeting mine in a moment that seemed suspended in time. This is where the truth begins, she said. Inside that envelope and inside these walls, you will discover everything he tried to protect you from. And once you see it, your life as you know it will end. I felt a cold thrill run through me. Everything, my fears, my anger, my longing, my curiosity, merged into one sharp focus. I didn't know what awaited me inside, but I knew I could not turn back. I opened the car door and stepped out, the morning air crisp against my skin, my heart racing with a mixture of dread and anticipation. She led the way to the front door, her steps steady, deliberate, unyielding. I followed, clutching the envelope like a lifeline. And as we approached the grand doors, she turned to me one last time. Remember, she said softly but firmly, once you enter, everything changes. Be prepared. My hands shook, my breath caught, and I felt the weight of the years of uncertainty, betrayal, and questions press down on me. I took a deep breath and stepped inside. The door closed behind me, and in that single instant I knew there was no return. The life I had lived, the husband I had loved, the family I had trusted, all of it was about to be redefined. And as I looked around the dimly lit interior, shadows stretching across the walls, I realized that the secrets I had longed to uncover would demand more from me than I could yet imagine. I was on the edge of revelation, and the truth waiting beyond that door promised to change everything. I didn't speak for the first 5 minutes of the drive. I couldn't. Everything inside me was too loud. The engine hummed like a secret, the leather seats felt too soft for a woman who hadn't slept well in months, and outside the windows, the city rolled by in blurred streaks of gray and gold. Yet all I could think was, why did a woman who barely talked to me suddenly pull up in a luxury car and tell me to get in? Relax, Vanessa said eventually, eyes fixed on the road. You look like you're about to jump out of the car. I'm not jumping, I replied slowly. I'm just surprised. Good. Stay surprised. It will help. That sentence didn't help anything. My chest tightened again. I studied her quietly. Perfect makeup. Perfect nails. Perfect silk blouse. Perfect woman. And I, just me. Tired. Confused. Married into a family that treated me like an unexpected guest. Well, I began carefully, are you going to tell me what this is about? She smirked, not a warm smirk but a knowing one. You'll see. I exhaled sharply. Vanessa, please. I left food on the fire. I didn't lock the backyard gate. I didn't even. It's fine, she cut in. This is more important. Those words made my stomach drop. More important than my home, than the errands I planned today, than the life I was trying so hard to keep together. What did my husband do now? I asked suddenly, the thought slipping out before I could stop it. For the first time she flinched. He didn't do anything, she said a little too quickly. I turned fully toward her. And what exactly does that mean? She tightened her grip on the wheel. Silence stretched. Only the soft clicking sound of the indicator filled the car as she turned onto a quieter road, one leading far away from the places I knew. Vanessa. Yes. You're scaring me. She inhaled, slow and shaky. And when she exhaled, her voice wasn't confident anymore. It was small, almost human. I didn't come because of him, she said. I came because of you. My brows knitted. Me? Why? There are things you don't know, she whispered. Things nobody told you because they were never supposed to come out. About what? He swallowed. About the family you married into. I froze. My heartbeat felt like a drum inside my ears. What exactly am I supposed to know? Her jaw clenched. But she didn't speak. Instead, she pressed a button beside the steering wheel, and the windows tinted automatically, turning the car slightly darker, more private. Vanessa. No, she said firmly. Let me finish. She finally pulled into an empty parking lot behind an abandoned office building. No cars. No people. Just us, and the weight of whatever she carried. She switched off the engine. Then she turned to me fully. Before I say anything else, she said slowly, you need to promise you won't tell my mother. I blinked. Your mother? Yes. Her most of all. What is going on? She closed her eyes for a moment, gathering herself. And then, everything you think you know about my brother, about this family, is only half of the truth. My breath hitched. Half. Vanessa. Please. Her eyes glistened as she whispered. You need to know what he's been hiding since the day he married you. My stomach twisted painfully. Hiding what? She looked down at her hands. He's been protecting you from someone. Who? She lifted her eyes, and for the first time since I'd known her, she looked afraid. From our mother. My blood ran cold. Your mother? Yes. I shook my head. That made no sense. His mother adored him. She tolerated me, yes, but she was never openly cruel. What are you saying? I whispered. Vanessa leaned back, breathing heavily. You think she disapproves of you because you're not her type for him. That's what everyone told you, right? Yes. That's not the reason. Then what is? She lowered her voice to a trembling whisper. Because of the last woman he brought home. I blinked fast. What, last woman? Her throat bobbed as she swallowed. The one he was supposed to marry. A cold shiver crawled down my spine. But he told me he never. I know what he told you, she interrupted softly. He lied to protect you. We all did. Because none of us wanted you to run. Why would I run? My palms grew sweaty. Vanessa, what happened to her? Silence. Her eyes dropped to her lap. Tell me, I pressed. Tell me what happened to the woman he was supposed to marry. She breathed in deeply and finally said it. She disappeared. My world stopped. Disappeared. I repeated, barely recognizing my own voice. Yes. How? Why? We don't know. I stared at her. You mean she left him? No, she whispered. I mean she vanished. The police got involved. Reporters. It was a big thing. And my mother. She paused, voice trembling. My mother was blamed. My jaw dropped. Blamed? Why would anyone blame your mother? Because she was the last person who saw the girl alive. A chill shot through me so fast I almost gasped. And the worst part, she added quietly, she never spoke about it. Never explained. Never defended herself. And that silence ruined everything. My mind was spinning. So that's why she doesn't like me? I asked weakly. Because of that woman? No. It's deeper. Vanessa looked straight into my soul. She sees you as a replacement. A cold knot tightened in my stomach. What does that mean? It means, Vanessa whispered, she's afraid the same thing will happen again. My voice shook. But why would it? I'm not her. I've never even met her. That's exactly why I came. She reached into her purse with trembling fingers and pulled out an old photo. Folded, worn, softened by time. She handed it to me slowly. Look at it. I opened the photo. My heart dropped so violently I almost felt sick. The girl in the picture. The girl who vanished. The girl my husband nearly married. Looked almost exactly like me. Not identical. But close enough that anyone could mistake us at first glance. My breath shattered in my throat. Do you see now? Vanessa whispered. Do you understand why my mother has been watching you so closely? I couldn't speak. I was frozen between shock and fear and confusion. Your mother thinks I'm her? I choked. No, Vanessa said. She's afraid you'll end up like her. I stared at her. Vanessa, Tell me honestly, do you think she was involved? Her eyes filled with tears she refused to let fall. I don't know, she whispered. But I do know this. For the last 6 months she's been acting strange. Calling my brother late at night. Asking where you are. Insisting he bring you over more often. Insisting she needs to make sure of something. Make sure of what? I breathed. And her answer changed everything. That you don't disappear too. A long, heavy silence wrapped around us. And then Vanessa reached out and grabbed my hand, tight. That's why I came, she whispered urgently. To warn you. To stop you from walking blindly into something you don't understand. To tell you that you are in danger. My chest tightened painfully. Danger? From his mother? My voice trembled. What do you want me to do? First, she said, squeezing my hand, I want you to listen carefully. Because everything that happens next depends on what I'm about to tell you. I swallowed, heart hammering so loud it felt like the car was vibrating. What is it? She leaned forward, lowered her voice, and whispered the words that shattered the last pieces of my peace. Last night, my mother asked him where you sleep. For a long moment I couldn't move, couldn't breathe, couldn't even understand the meaning of the words echoing through my mind. She asked him where you sleep. Why would a mother ask that? With that kind of intensity, that urgency, my hands turned cold against the leather seat. What do you mean where I sleep? I whispered, my pulse jumping. Vanessa pressed her lips together. I mean exactly what I said. Why? I don't know. But she did know. I saw it in her eyes. She was holding back, choosing her words too carefully. Protecting me, or protecting her family. I wasn't sure which. I swallowed hard. When did she ask him? Last night. And how did he react? Vanessa gave a humorless laugh. Exactly the way you'd expect. He got defensive, annoyed, irritated. He doesn't like when she meddles. And then he told her she was overthinking things again. Then he ended the call. My chest tightened. Overthinking things again. So this wasn't the first time. And what did your mother say? I asked carefully. She said. Vanessa hesitated, glancing out the window as if repeating the words might summon something dark. She said she needed to know which side of the bed you sleep on. My breath caught painfully. Why would she need to know that? I told you, Vanessa whispered. She's acting strange. Fixated. Paranoid. It's been getting worse. I wrapped my arms around myself as if holding my body together might steady my mind. And your brother? Did he tell her? No, Vanessa said quickly. He said it was none of her business. My heartbeat thudded. So she still doesn't know? No. And that's the only reason I came today. Because I don't know what she plans to do next. I don't know why she's suddenly watching you. Watching me how? She keeps asking questions. About your routine. Your habits. Your errands. Your schedule. My stomach twisted. You make it sound like she's planning something. Vanessa didn't answer. I stared at her. Vanessa, is there something wrong with your mother? Silence. Her jaw tightened. I don't want to talk about that. Why? Because you're afraid of her? Or because you're afraid of what I might think? Both, she said honestly. She turned away, blinking fast as if holding back tears she refused to release. I know this sounds dramatic, she said. But you deserve to know that something is off. And if anything happens, you can't say nobody warned you. My head spun. But what does this have to do with the woman who disappeared? I asked softly. Vanessa's fingers tightened around her purse. Everything, she whispered. Everything. She leaned forward, lowering her voice. Do you know where that woman disappeared from? I shook my head slowly. From our house. A chill ran down my spine. At night. While everyone was asleep. I felt my stomach drop. And the police? They searched the whole property. The garden. The basement. The storage rooms. The old back shed. And they found nothing? Nothing. My hands felt numb. Did she leave anything behind? I asked quietly. Vanessa nodded. One thing. What? A shoe. One single shoe. Where? In the hallway. Near the kitchen. My throat closed. And your mother was the last person who saw her? Yes. The car suddenly felt too small. Too warm. Too silent. I reached for the door handle, needing air. But Vanessa grabbed my wrist gently. "Don't leave," she said. "You need to hear the rest." I hesitated, breathing shakily. "Fine," I whispered. She released my wrist slowly. "I'm telling you all this because I think my mother is reliving the past. That girl disappeared and it destroyed our family. The shame. The rumors. The way the neighbors whispered. The way the police looked at us. I understand that," I said softly. "But why does that concern me?" She looked at me with a sadness so deep it scared me. "Because you look like her." I closed my eyes tightly. "I'm not her," I whispered. "Exactly," Vanessa said. "But my mother is afraid history is repeating itself. Or worse, she's afraid someone will try to make it repeat." My blood turned cold. "Are you saying she thinks I'm in danger?" "Yes." "From who?" "That," Vanessa said, voice shaking slightly, "is the part none of you can figure out." I blinked. "None of you?" "My brother. He's been acting strange too," she whispered. "I think he's hiding things from both of us." "What kind of things?" "Phone calls. Night messages. Sneaking out. Whispering with my mother. Changing his tone when you come into the room." My heart squeezed painfully. "That doesn't mean—" "No," she cut in gently. "It doesn't. But something is wrong. I can feel it. And you need to stop pretending everything is normal." A lump formed in my throat. "Why are you telling me this?" I whispered. She leaned closer. "Because you're the only one who still trusts him. And I don't want you to get blindsided." I swallowed hard. "You think he's involved in what's happening?" "I don't know," she said truthfully. "But the last time our mother acted like this, someone vanished." The words punched air out of my lungs. "And you think it could happen again?" I whispered. "Yes." I let my head fall into my hands, overwhelmed. "What do I do?" I murmured. "First," Vanessa said, "stop sleeping near the window." I shot up. "What? Why?" "Our mother used to watch the girl through the window at night." My heart slammed against my ribs. "Second," she said, "don't be alone with her for a while. Not until we figure out what she wants." I nodded slowly, my hands trembling. "Third." She hesitated. "Third what?" "You need to ask my brother a question." "What question?" She held my gaze. "A simple one." She inhaled deeply. Then whispered. "Ask him why he always wakes up before you." The words sank into my chest like a stone dropped into water. "What?" I breathed. "He told the police back then that he was asleep the whole night. But the timeline didn't make sense. He was awake at least 15 minutes before the disappearance was reported." I stared at her, my heart thundering. "Vanessa, what are you trying to say?" "I'm saying you need to ask him," she whispered. "Because whatever his answer is, it will tell you how much danger you're actually in." A thick silence pressed between us. Finally I whispered, "And what if he lies?" "Then," Vanessa whispered, "you'll finally know which side he's on." I stayed in the car long after Vanessa stopped speaking. Long after her voice had softened into silence. Long after the weight of her final sentence settled on my chest like something alive. "Ask him why he always wakes up before you." The words wouldn't leave me. They circled my mind like a dark omen. When I finally looked up at Vanessa, she was watching me, not with pity, but with a sadness so heavy it made my throat tighten. "You don't have to believe me," she said quietly. "But you can't keep pretending you're safe." Safe. The word felt foreign now. Unrealistic. As the truth was, I hadn't felt safe in a long time. Not really. Not deeply. There were small things, tiny, strange details I had brushed aside, telling myself I was overthinking. Like how he'd sometimes slip out of bed at night. Or how he'd shut off his phone the moment he heard my footsteps. Or how he'd lie awake, staring at the ceiling, breathing much too quietly. I had chalked it up to stress. To work. To family pressure. But now those details no longer looked harmless. Now they looked like warnings I had ignored. I placed my hand on the door handle, but Vanessa caught my wrist again. Firm, warm, protective in the way only a woman who truly understands danger can be. "Don't confront him yet," she said. "Just watch. Pay attention." My voice trembled. "Why are you scared of him?" "I'm not scared of him," she whispered. "I'm scared of what our mother might be capable of, and I'm scared of how far he would go to protect her." A chill ran down my spine. He's always protected her, she continued. Sometimes even when he shouldn't. I stared at her, memories of their closeness rushing through me. The way he always defended his mother. The way he excused her sharp words. The way he dismissed her odd behaviors as just old trauma. Your mother, I began slowly, she never liked me. That's not true, Vanessa said gently. She liked you. But she never trusted you. My throat tightened. Why not? Vanessa stared out the windshield, voice distant. Because she thinks women like you, soft, kind, patient, observant. She thinks you'll see too much. See what? She turned her head and looked straight at me. The cracks. Something inside me sank. The car suddenly felt too warm, like the air had thickened into something heavy, something difficult to swallow. I took a long breath and finally stepped out of the car. Vanessa followed. Call me if anything feels off, she said. Anything. I will. And please, keep your bedroom door locked. I nodded slowly, even though the idea of locking my bedroom door from him felt like betrayal. Vanessa turned to leave but hesitated. I know you love my brother, she said, her voice softening. But love doesn't stop danger. It only blinds you to it. I didn't reply. I couldn't, because something in my chest had already cracked open. I stood there watching her drive away, the luxury car melting into the distance, leaving behind only a trail of questions. Then I walked into the house. The moment I stepped inside, I knew he was home. His shoes were by the door. His jacket hung neatly on the chair. The faint smell of his cologne lingered in the air, a clean, warm scent that had once comforted me. Now it made my heartbeat spike in confusion. Babe? His voice drifted from the kitchen. Where did you go? I forced my tone to stay steady. I needed some air. He appeared in the doorway, soft smile on his lips, as if he had no idea the ground beneath us was shifting. You look tired, he said. Rough day. He stepped forward, reaching for my waist to pull me close, but something in me recoiled. He paused. You okay? I nodded even though my pulse was racing. What did you do today? I asked casually. He shrugged lightly. Worked. Came home. Rested. Rested. I repeated. Yeah. What time did you wake up? He blinked. Wake up? When? This morning. He gave a confused laugh. Same time as you. The hairs on my arms lifted. That was not true. Not even remotely close. I always woke up alone. Every single day. I tried to keep my voice neutral. I didn't see you when I woke up. Maybe you didn't notice, he said with a light smile. My stomach twisted. Maybe you didn't notice. That was his answer. He turned back toward the kitchen. Come eat something. You haven't eaten all day. I watched him walk away, watched the ease in his movement, the casual innocence in his tone, and a cold ache settled in my chest. Vanessa was right. He was used to lying. Comfortable with it. Effortless. I leaned against the wall, my mind spinning. And for the first time I let myself wonder something I had never dared to think before. Had he been awake every night while I slept? On purpose? I walked into the kitchen and sat down. He placed a plate in front of me, rice, stew, grilled fish. Comfort food. Familiar food. Food meant to soothe. But my appetite had vanished. He sat across from me, studying my face gently. What's wrong? He asked. You look far away. I swallowed hard. I'm just tired. Tired of what? Of pretending everything is normal. His fork froze midway to his mouth. A flicker crossed his eyes. Too fast for most people to notice, but not too fast for a woman who had spent years loving him closely. What do you mean by that? He said carefully. I mean, I looked directly into his eyes. Why do you always wake up before me? His entire body stilled. Not shocked. Not confused. Not curious. Just still. As if those words had pierced something he thought was hidden. He set his fork down slowly. Where did you hear that? He asked. I inhaled sharply. So it's true. He didn't answer. He didn't deny it. His silence spoke louder than anything his words ever could. I asked you a question. His tone wasn't angry. It was calm. Too calm. Why does it matter who wakes up first? Because, my voice trembled. Because you're always gone before I open my eyes. And I want to know why. He studied me, expression unreadable. Then he leaned back in his chair, folding his arms. You're overthinking. Am I? Yes. But his voice was too soft, too measured, too intentional. You never used to ask me things like this, he murmured. Maybe I didn't want to know the answers before. He tilted his head slowly. Why now? Because your sister told me you might be hiding something. Because your mother is acting strange. Because your past is full of missing pieces. Because a woman disappeared after sleeping under the same roof as your family. But I couldn't say any of that. So instead I said, because I need honesty. He exhaled, looking away for a moment. Then he looked back at me with eyes suddenly softer, almost fragile. You want honesty? He said. Fine. I wake up early because I can't sleep through the night. I always get up. I walk around. That's all. The simplicity of it almost made me doubt myself. Almost made me believe him. But then I remembered Vanessa's voice. Ask him why he always wakes up before you. Always. Not sometimes. Always. And now he had admitted it. He pushed his chair back. I'm going to shower, he said. Come upstairs when you're done eating. I watched him walk up the stairs slowly. Calm, relaxed, unhurried. But something was off. Something small. Something easy to miss. When he reached the top of the stairs, he didn't go straight to the bedroom. He walked to the end of the hallway, where the guest room was, where the old desk was, where he kept drawers he never let me open. He went inside and closed the door quietly. Not the bathroom. Not the bedroom. The guest room. A chill crawled over my skin. I listened. No shower. No running water. No movement. Just silence. Thick. Intentional. I stood slowly, my heart pounding against my ribs, and took a step toward the stairs. But then my phone buzzed. A message. From Vanessa. I opened it. And when I saw the words, my blood turned to ice. Whatever you do, don't sleep in your room tonight. The truth didn't explode all at once. It leaked out slowly, painfully, like a wound that had been waiting years to breathe. When the envelope finally opened on the table, the entire room froze. Inside wasn't poison. Wasn't money. Wasn't a secret letter. It was a key. A small old silver key, wrapped in a torn piece of cloth. Your husband stared at it like he had seen a ghost. And your daughter-in-law, shaking, finally said quietly, he told me to give this to you, only when he was gone. The room went silent. You unfolded the cloth. There was handwriting on it. You recognized the pen, the sharp strokes, the familiar corners. It was your late father-in-law's writing. Your hands trembled as you read the words he left behind. If you are holding this key, it means I never said it while I was alive. Forgive me. This is the key to the small box I hid under the old mango tree. Inside, you will find the truth about what happened the night your mother left the house and never returned. Your heart stopped. Your husband's chair scraped the floor as he stood up, almost losing balance. He whispered, I thought he destroyed everything. I thought he burned it. But he hadn't. Your daughter-in-law was crying now. She wasn't the villain. She was the messenger, carrying a truth even your husband couldn't face. And when you reached the old mango tree, your daughter-in-law beside you, your husband behind you, the soil felt different. Like it had been waiting. Like it knew you were coming. You dug. And you found the box. It was small, wooden, carved with initials. Inside was a single object. And a letter that would change everything you believed about your past, your marriage, and your pain. But that is the story for tomorrow. Please follow me for no reason.